Hello there. How are you today? So, talking about how to change someone's mind. There are a lot of people wanting different things in our collective reality right now. And there's lots of people trying to convince other people of different things. And they want people to change their mind, to come over to do what they want people to do. And it's quite interesting to watch how people are doing it. And so I'm here just to talk about how you really change someone's mind, okay? And about the concept of planting a seed. And when we're into activism or convincing that there is one thing that really needs to be in place if we're going to be effective with what we're doing. So thanks so much for tuning in today because I think it's a super important topic. My name's Rebecca Abraxas, and this is my channel about awakening and remembering our greatness together. And if you like what you hear and see, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. And if you want more stuff and you want a free gift about how to start your awakening journey, go to my website, RebeccaAbraxas.com, and there is a free gift for you. Okay, so how do we plant a seed effectively? What I've been seeing, family, friends, acquaintances, just social media people, I'm seeing a lot of anger. I'm seeing people trying to convince others from being angry. And this is an interesting place to be. This is an interesting energy. A lot of anger, what's underneath anger is fear. What's under anger is fear and disempowerment. So when we feel like we're out of control, we have no control of our lives, we have no control of the collective or of our health, and we just feel like powerless and we feel scared over it. Some people will jump up to anger because anger feels better than fear and powerlessness. So it's a cool jump in vibration. So powerlessness and anger is a higher vibe actually. But what's happening right now is that people are hanging out in anger and they're kind of stuck there. And to avoid fear and disempowerment, they're going to hang out in anger. And anger is great, but we have to keep moving up to hope and trust and positivity and our deeper knowing. So what's happening, and I'm seeing, is that like when we have these polarized views, people are hanging out in their anger. So they're trying to convince people, whether they're in activism or whether they're just moms really wanting the world to look different for their kids and for themselves, or whether it's it's political, or whether it's health related, or whatever it is. It's going to be more helpful if we keep moving up vibrationally. So if we're powerless and we jump to anger, awesome, feel your power. But then from there, go up a little bit. All right, go up to pessimism. Believe it or not, pessimism is a higher vibration than anger. And hopefully you make your way up to being hopeful, that we see that change is inevitable. When hard things are among us, they always shift into something that's more easeful eventually. And so hope is higher than anger. So reach for hope and then go into positivity. And our real goal is to really get to allowance and deep knowing and trust. So when we really do want to plant a seed for someone that we're kind of like, I'd really love to see something different on the planet, or I'd really love to see something different for the life of someone in my family. We plant seeds, and we do that by this number one thing that I want to say is start to be curious. So hear that and write it in the comments. Be curious. Write it down there. Okay, your curiosity in someone else's experience is gonna help you find compassion, find the oneness, find our humanity again. Because when we're in anger and when we're trying to convince someone in anger, we're creating more divide and more division, okay? And most anger and most like things, no one wants to go over there, all right? So the number one thing that as an activist or a mom or someone that's interested in politics or just someone that wants to see something different and has a different point of view than someone else and you're wanting to convince them, start planting seeds and get curious of what the other person is about, what they're experiencing. Why wouldn't they make the choice that you think is a great choice? Why wouldn't they want to make a choice to, for the vision that you have for the future? Okay, so get curious about that. And this is I want to tell you a story. This was such a cool story my husband told me. It was about an activist who did it a little differently. So my husband wants to do a documentary on sharks, and one of the topics on sharks is shark finning, where people are cutting off shark fins and then just tossing the shark down into the ocean and keeping the fin for profit. It's a horrible practice. But this one young woman who's about 25, instead of going after them kind of from anger or from a polar opposite and attacking them in a way, she went into their world and became one of them for a few days and got to see why they were making the choices that they were making, and got to see that these shark finners were actually open to a different livelihood, but they just didn't know what. They felt like this is the only thing they knew, this is how they made their bread and butter, and this is what life presented to them. So by the end, by her kind of going in there, seeing what they were all about, getting curious about the real reasons they were doing something like this, she found out, and she wound up being able to find a different lifestyle for them. She proposed a different lifestyle possibility that the shark finners loved, and they wound up shifting their lifestyle because this woman got curious about, well, why would someone want to do something like this? Why would someone want to hurt a shark like this and just throw it down to the bottom of the ocean to just wilt and die without its fin? So, guys, I loved that story. I got so inspired hearing about this woman getting curious. And when I hear stuff like a story about like shark finning, I try not to get furious. It just crumbles me. I hate hearing that. But then if we really sink into wellness abounds, and at the root of everyone is goodness, is light, is source energy, is people choose for a reality that they think is going to give them joy or serve them on some level. So if we get curious about why people are making their choices, and perhaps we can from having some compassion, getting curious about their story, perhaps we can tell our story, and then a seed is planted on both sides. And we get to really uncover the reasons. And then perhaps we can go into offering other possibilities. To me, that is spiritual activism. That's energetic, vibrational activism. Going with, whenever we go and make a choice from anger, like attracts like. You're gonna find anger coming back unless someone's pretty evolved or awake and they can really just be like, you know what, I'm not gonna go there. But most of the time, when we go at something with anger, anger comes back. Like attracts like. That's what the law of vibration says, the law of attraction says, like attracts like. So if you really want change and you really want someone to come to change their point of view, to come closer to your point of view of how you think the world would be a better place, perhaps get into their world for a little bit. Plant that seed. Get very, very curious. And so, what else do I want to say about this topic? So, the emotional guidance system, Abraham Hicks' emotional guidance system, is really brilliant to take a look at. You know, if you're feeling anger around a point of view, around, you know, the government or people's choices and about, you know, current affairs and certain choices people are making in the collective right now, if it's angering you, ask, are you angry because really you're scared? Okay. And if you're jumping up to anger because you're scared, go back to the fear part and ask, really, what are you scared of? And then we want to start going up the emotional guidance system. There's in the emotional guidance system, I have a few other videos of how to work the emotional guidance system in my Conscious Life Hacks playlist. So take a look at that, and it'll help you kind of get up that emotional guidance scale to get out of that anger and find that trust and knowing. Okay, beautiful people. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this was a helpful topic for you. And guys, we're never going to change the planet with increasing polarity. I should take that back. Actually, with increasing polarity, we're going to do it the hard way. Change will come. But what happens is with increased polarity, you have a ton of contrast. When you have a ton of contrast, then we rise up and we want something different, right? But with a ton of contrast comes, it's not so easy. What if there was an easier way? Okay, what if there was an easier way to decrease the polarity? So think of, like, you know, a big, like, weight, right? And there's a big weight here, there's a big weight here, and then there's the bar, right? How big that bar is and how big those weights are is determined by how much polarity we give each side, right? So if we're in a ton of polarity, right? We got these huge weights and we got this long bar. It's very heavy to lift. It's a lot of density. Now, if you have a shorter bar and smaller weights, right? The points of view are a little smaller. The polarity is a little shorter. We start to, yeah, I can see that side. Yeah, I can see that side. We decrease the polarity a little bit. It gets lighter. That weight is lighter. Still have contrast. We're still going to have the contrast and then rise and change from there. We're still changing the planet in a positive way. But do we want to do it by intense polarity and just hard, like, life? Or do we want to do it with less polarity? Polarity is required on planet Earth, but we don't have to live with so much of it to make change. And so I guess that's what I want to leave us here with today, is that what are you willing to do, be, and know to get curious about someone else's point of view so that you can start growing allowance of their choices and plant a seed and a possibility for them. Okay? So, and you may never change someone's mind, but in the process, you may have more compassion and allowance for the story if you're willing to get curious about it. All right, so I'm practicing this every day myself. So let's do this. And thank you so much for the light that you bring to the planet and your commitment to your awakening journey. Namaste.